All right, we're going to be starting off.
All right, whenever you're ready.
All right. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Build, Burn, Become. I'm Fred Moore, and today with me is my guest calling in from Ohio. His name is Nick Holderbaum. He is the founder of Primalosophy, which is his health coaching business based on ancestral health principles and scientifically validated research. He is a full-time firefighter and paramedic in Columbus, Ohio, where he has witnessed firsthand the ill effects of the standard American diet. Nick is working to improve the health and well-being of first responders and his community by educating them on functional nutrition. Nick, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Fred. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. We were talking a little bit before we started here, and you're here to discuss basically your work with firefighters and your mission to change a culture which is a very dug-in culture, very hard to change. How's that going for you as we speak?
I mean, obviously, it's a big mission. You can't do it single-handedly, and that's why we have conversations like this on a platform like yours. We're all kind of working towards the same mission, mine being to prevent and reverse chronic disease in the fire service. Right now, I'm just focusing on health coaching. Like I said before, I do ancestral health, which means I teach people how to eat like our ancestors ate, how to exercise like our ancestors exercised. And in doing so, you send your genes the right signals and they express themselves in a healthy way.
Yeah, so, I mean, we have all seen how any type of physical activity, any type of exercise always makes people feel better as long as they get into a little bit of a routine at least. So with what you're talking about, is there, being that it's scientifically validated research, is there a place where people listening can actually look this stuff up to see for themselves how impactful your type of training is?
Absolutely. So my main focus is on diet because I believe 80% of your body composition success is going to be determined by how you eat. So I believe all health questions can be answered using the ancestral health model, which dates back obviously pre-agricultural revolution. So if you've heard of paleo, primal, evolutionary science, all this stuff is basically saying pre-agriculture. So when we were hunter-gatherer tribes, we ate plants and animals. So go ahead. Some good resources for you to check are the Weston A. Price Foundation, one of the pioneers in this ancestral health movement. I'm sure a lot of your listeners have heard of Mark Sisson of Mark's Daily Apple. He wrote the Primal Blueprint, the Primal Endurance. Another thought leader in this field is Chris Kresser, functional medicine practitioner. Rob Wolf, who's also done some work with Nevada Fire or Reno Fire. Chris Kresser is actually doing work right now with Santa Monica and Berkeley Fire. So scaling this to the fire service is going to be a challenge, but that's pretty much what's taking part now. So that's why I'm here to help spread that word.
That's great. Yeah, that's and that that's what this podcast is about, and it's great having people like you come on the show to talk about this because, like you said, communication is how we're going to change the culture, and this type of discussion has to be had every day. How do you engage with your fellow firefighters at the firehouse, when you're working and you're getting a phone call from a skeptical fireman who maybe did some brief research almost to, challenge you or something? Like, how are you handling that mindset?
Right.
And how are you helping them accept a new mindset?
Yeah, I like to think if you can get through to firemen, then you can pretty much get through to anybody. But the thing about it is, most people who are skeptical about diets is, the skepticism comes in towards fad diets. I'm just teaching you, how to eat nutrient-dense foods. I'm telling you what foods are good for you and what foods are going to compromise your health. So if you want to jump right in, I'm telling these guys, you're going to eat, meat, fish, fowl, eggs, nuts, seeds, a little bit of fruit, mainly berry fruit, and an abundance of vegetables. All those foods are good for you. What is there to be skeptical about? Obviously, we can get into cholesterol and healthy fats versus bad fats. There's still a lot of skepticism around that. But when I tell you, a healthy meal is going to be a grass-fed steak and some roasted veggies, like your favorite vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, covered in grass-fed butter, it sounds pretty delicious. Not too many people want to give me pushback on that.
Yeah, I guess not. Uh, so do you ever get people asking about being a vegan with paleo?
Sure. I mean, ethically, I understand where everyone's coming from. Everyone has their own perspective on how to eat. So there's no one size diet fits all, but there is one that fits most, and that's going to be the ancestral health model. So if you don't want to eat meat, that's okay. But can you eat eggs? Hopefully, you can eat eggs. They're one of the most nutrient dense foods on the planet, and they're pretty ethical when you look at it. But yeah, if you're going to stick to being a vegan or a vegetarian, let's focus on the non-starchy vegetables. Let's make sure we're getting a lot of the healthy fats, like tropical fats, coconut products, and that sort of thing.
Nice. Okay. And now, before someone actually dives in deep to a paleo diet, is there something simple that they could do, that they could try, like experimental foods, a litmus test type of thing, or like something preliminary, just to
Sure.
get a feel for a paleo and see if it's actually for them?
Right. So I will challenge your listeners to take on my 21-day challenge, which is for 21 days, go ahead and try to eliminate grains, sugars, and vegetable seed oils. Okay.
Okay.
The best thing that you can do, or a fireman or a firehouse can do, is eliminate vegetable seed oils from the firehouse forever, for good. All they do is cause inflammation and oxidation in the bloodstream. They should be banned, but they're not, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, switch over to cooking with olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, even animal products like butter from grass-fed cows, beef tallow, that sort of thing. So then after that 21 days, that's going to be your transition from being a carb burner to a fat burner. So you're going to feel great. You're going to be fat adapted, which means you can access your stored fat whenever you want while you're at rest. You're not going to be the hangry firefighter out there who missed a meal and now he's pissed off, because you can just access your stored fat, right?
Right.
It's a clean burning energy. And then you can try to reintroduce those foods that you ate before and see how they make you feel. Because a lot of people have been eating like shit for so long that they forget what it feels like to feel good.
Yeah. They sort of accept a lower level. It becomes the new normal.
Right.
And
It's all they know.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, with paleo, you're allowed to eat sweet potatoes, right? Sweet potatoes.
Right.
And
So as far as the starchy vegetables go, go for it. But if you're looking to lose weight, you're going to want to limit those starchy vegetables. You got to earn them. So if you had a hard training session that day, go ahead and allow yourself an extra 100 grams of carbohydrates in the form of sweet potatoes or wild rice, or, purple sweet potatoes are one of my favorites. Dark chocolate, 85% or higher. These are great options for your starchy vegetables and some more carbohydrates. But if you're looking to lose weight, try to keep your carbohydrates under 100 grams a day.
okay, very good. And a lot of people also report a better mental clarity when they switch over to paleo. Why is that? Why do they feel this way?
All right. So when your body starts running off fat for fuel, which is its preferred energy source, we ran off saturated fat for 2.5 million years, pre-agricultural revolution, right? But since then, we've switched over to this carbohydrate dominant diet where we're sugar burners. Sugar is not a clean burning fuel, right? It causes free radicals and a lot of oxidative damage. The brain prefers to run on fatty acids and ketones. Okay. It's a clean burning fuel. And that's why you see a lot of these people when they first switch over and they change their breakfast from oatmeal or something like that to bulletproof coffee or putting butter in their coffee, and they get those saturated fatty acids. They just have that mental clarity. And that's one of my favorite parts about eating this way, is just I feel great and I can think. Maybe not when I'm sleep deprived, but for the most part, just that cognitive function that comes with is just, it's so underrated.
Help me out with a little debacle that I have.
Okay.
Oatmeal is one of my favorite foods. It's like a superfood for me, but I know it's not on the paleo diet. Would that be something that you could use as a cheat type of food? Like if you're having one of those off kind of days, or you just need something to satiate you differently, keep you from straying too far into the candy world or something like that?
Right. So, I mean, in my opinion, oats are just going to be a cheap form of carbohydrates that keep you going, right?
Really?
They're just beige glop. The same thing with grains. They're going to cause an insulin spike, and insulin drives fat storage. So, in my opinion, I would look for, something else as a breakfast food. And the other thing is, you don't have to have breakfast food for breakfast.
Right.
Have whatever you want that falls into these, ancestry aligned foods. So it could be leftovers. That's one of my favorites. Or try skipping breakfast, even better. One of the best ways to tell if you're fat adapted is in the morning how many hours you can go before you're actually hungry. So I have black coffee in the morning, and that doesn't break my fast. Because one of the most beautiful things you can do, I'm sure you've heard of intermittent fasting,
Yes.
is prolong that fast.
Right.
Because that's when all the miracles take place, the autophagy, the cellular cleanup, the anti-aging effects of that's what intermittent fasting is for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you also mentioned drinking the black coffee, which maybe not a lot of people will actually care about this as much as I care about it. But when you wake up, your cortisol levels are a little higher, and that's catabolic, right? So somebody like me who wants to try to maintain muscle mass drinks a cup of black coffee, skips breakfast, continues on fasting. Doesn't the adrenal spike from the caffeine just add to that cortisol push that you already have coming from when you woke up? Doesn't it just make it a little bit worse and make it harder for you to lose weight because cortisol actually makes you keep fat?
Right. Yeah, I completely agree with you that you want to manage cortisol. I think, two hormones that you want to regulate if you want to be healthy are insulin and cortisol. Especially that cortisol is the antagonist to testosterone, right?
Right.
When you wake up, melatonin is actually still working on your pancreas. So as soon as you expose yourself to light, that's when you're going to get that cortisol release, right? So it takes about an hour after waking for you to start the digestive process. So with that being said, intermittent fasting is an acute stressor. So it kind of is what they call a hormetic stressor. So it actually makes you stronger because that when you're not eating, it allows glucagon to release fatty acids from your fat stores to use as energy. Okay. Now, if you do this too often, you will become catabolic. Your body will perceive it as a stressful event and start muscle breakdown for those amino acids for energy. So you don't want to do this all the time. Intermittent fasting, 16-8, which is, you don't eat for 16 hours, then you eat in an 8-hour eating window. That works for most people. And you can only do that, a couple times a week is fine. You don't have to do that 7 days a week starting out.
Okay. So that would be, a beginner's type of thing, like maybe every other day or every 2 days, try some intermittent fasting and ease yourself into it.
Right, and I'm no expert on this, so I would point people in the direction of Dr. Rhonda Patrick and also Dr. Sachin Panda, who wrote the Circadian Code. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Dr. Rhonda Patrick is brilliant, and I would pretty much follow anything she says. She's excellent. She's awesome. So we talked about carbs and sweet potatoes or starch type of food, and you mentioned wild rice. And when you have kids at home and you're trying to follow a paleo diet, sometimes your kids actually start to adapt to the way you eat. I have a young one at home. She's 6. She kind of eats pretty healthy with us. But what are some secret treats and stuff like that you could actually give your child as maybe they struggle with a change of diet?
Right. So, just to be honest here, I don't have kids.
Yeah.
So I don't know that challenge. But again, I would point people in the direction of Weston A. Price, who has pretty much answered all of those questions on how to raise, a kid with optimal health. And it's still following these ancestral health principles.
Right.
It's eat like your ancestors ate. What did they eat? And obviously what works is what's going to be sustainable for your kids. But kids are growing. They're going to need more carbohydrates.
Okay. Yeah.
The focus is going to be on nutrient-dense foods for them.
Right. So then once again, you could give them the sweet potatoes and roasted potatoes, whatever you want to do, and that's going to be fine for them.
Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah. And now with switching over to a paleo diet, and especially with intermittent fasting, can people anticipate some slightly negative feelings in the beginning? Maybe a loss of strength or something.
Right. Yeah. So at first you will see a decrease in performance because what's happening is your brain is so used to getting this intake of glucose. All carbohydrates are converted to glucose in the bloodstream. So that's what your brain is used to running off of. So then when you decrease carbs, you decrease insulin levels, your brain's going to be searching for that sugar. So you're going to have feelings of adrenal fatigue. But you can beat that. So you've heard of the carb flu, you've heard of the keto flu.
Mm-hmm.
And, the primary cause of that is going to be a depletion in sodium, right? Because glucose holds on to so much water that when you flush all that water out, and that's the other thing, a lot of people will see an immediate loss in weight, right? They'll drop 12 pounds in like 2 weeks and they'll think, oh my God, this is amazing. It's not going to keep happening. That's just inflammatory weight.
Right.
So the best thing you can do is increase your sodium intake. So salt your food liberally, drink plenty of bone broth, and, take some sodium. Add some sodium into your water. Sea salt and Himalayan salt, Celtic salt, those are all great options. And then get plenty of potassium. Some of your best sources of potassium are going to be avocados. And magnesium, you're going to get dark leafy greens and almonds. And obviously you can supplement as well. I'll point people in the direction of Dr. Jeffrey Bullock of Virta Health. They heal type 2 diabetes through using the keto diet. And that's one thing that they focus on with their clients is helping them beat that keto flu. So there's a lot of good information on their website, and that's Virta Health.
Okay, very good. And with that keto flu, are you basically going through something temporary anyway, even if you don't treat it accordingly the way you just mentioned? You miss a few of those details. Is it just temporary, a couple weeks, and then all of a sudden you'll just start firing on all cylinders again?
Right. So some people experience, constipation, fatigue, headaches. It normally lasts just a few days to maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. Most of my clients, it will last about a day or two, but I also help them through managing their electrolytes and minerals. But there is a drop in performance. So for these first few weeks, when you're transitioning from a sugar burner to a fat burner, it's okay that you don't have to go as hard because you will see that drop. So take it easy, perform some comfortable cardio. You don't have to be out there killing yourself in the gym every day. Right. It's going to be counterintuitive. Yeah.
Yep, that sounds right. Diet is number one, right? So how you treat your body, to bring in the good foods and let her rip. Now, with the fire department, I'm privy to this myself. Is I don't eat paleo, but I eat healthy and I eat clean, and there's a lot of the firehouse is guys like to bust chops and everything. And you mentioned on another podcast I was listening to that your way of eating can make it seem like you're not part of the team, part of the brotherhood, and also people feel like you're judging. I thought that was a key thing that I heard. I jotted it down because I wanted to talk about that. That's exactly something that I experienced myself.
Right. And that goes for just pretty much about anything in life. When you force people to reflect on their own choices, they don't like that. But the thing is, it's not that you're not going to fit in. It's just when you're sitting there eating something different at the table, it is a little weird at first.
Sure.
But the thing is, it's your health, your hands. I mean, I'm not going to compromise my health just so I can fit in with the crowd, obviously. But I mean, I still put in my $10 for the day. I'm not taking away from the kitty. You're still going to have my money to buy the food that you want. It's just I'm going to eat the meat and vegetables part of it, right?
Yeah.
So on subs and pizza day, which sometimes I give myself a little bit of leeway. I don't set up a cheat day just to shit on my health, but I might have just eggs and broccoli or something like that, and the guys, they get used to it. You shouldn't have to wait for one of your guys to be pre-diabetic for them to start making these healthy choices, right? Because
Right.
as soon as someone is diagnosed with something or their doctor tells them they need to change their diet, everybody's all on board. They're like, yeah, you need to do this.
Yeah.
Well, hey, prevention is key, right? So why not start now?
Yeah. In fact, I just read, um, doctors are now coming out saying 70% of your major diseases can be eradicated almost just by eating a healthy diet. I mean, that's amazing.
Right. I mean, metabolic syndrome, which is one of the biggest health concerns right now in our nation, it's consisting of, your high blood pressure, your high triglycerides, your high resting blood sugar, or your HbA1c, and waist circumference. You know, most of these main blood markers can be reversed in as little as 21 days of eating like a primal aligned diet. It's beautiful.
21 days is nothing. I mean, you're talking very short amount of time, and after that initial 21 days it becomes more of a habit, and you're on cruise control at that point. I mean, you're almost to the next level now. To what's next? How do I make my diet even better? That's a
Right.
great
And you're,
thing.
and you're, and you're feeling good.
Yeah.
And you're not having to struggle or sacrifice. You're still eating delicious foods. I really want to, get that clear to listeners is you're not getting rid of all of your favorite foods. I mean, I know for some people it's hard to get away from the pastas and the bread, but when you're eating burgers without a bun for a couple weeks, you're going to forget about that bun.
Oh yeah.
When you're having pasta and you're just eating the good part of the pasta anyways, no one wants a bowl full of noodles. You want the good shit that's on top of it. You want the meatballs and the sauce,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. The bun. Are you kidding me? I want that juicy meat in there. The bun is just basically something to hold it with. I can use my fingers if I want to, or a
Right,
lettuce
and
wrap.
that's a great way to order out. When you're dining out and you want to make a healthy option, get the bunless burger and substitute the fries for a veggie side.
Yeah.
That's my go-to when I'm out
Right.
dining. Yeah,
Those fries are delicious, though.
they are. Yeah,
But
they are.
yes, do the right thing. So now you also, we had actually spoke a couple weeks ago on the phone, and we touched upon sleep and shift work. And I was glad you brought that up because that's a little pet peeve of mine too. Um, how is it that you feel about sleep, and how are you trying to educate firefighters so that they can
Yeah,
improve their health?
right. So sleep is everything. Poor sleep, poor health. You will never be healthy if you have shitty sleep. And obviously that is a huge struggle. And in my opinion, should be the number one concern in the fire service is how can we tackle this sleep problem? So again, go out and read Why We Sleep by Matt Walker. Listen to his podcast that he's done on Joe Rogan. Dr. Rhonda Patrick, he just put out a 3-part series on Peter Attia's podcast, which is Drive. Just listen to it. I mean, he's going to harp on how important sleep is for prevention of all chronic disease. So what's in our control and what's out of our control? What's in our control is our attitudes, our actions, and our judgments. What's out of our control is externals, right? What's external is the shift work that we signed up for. Okay. I can't bitch about this shift work. No one's making me do this. I signed up for it. The other thing that's out of our control is whether or not people call 6 times after midnight. Okay. So, but am I going to get upset about it when I get up? No. Like I said, my attitudes and my action are in my control.
Right.
Okay? I signed up for this. So with that being said, as long as there's shift work, it's going to be about controlling the damage. Right?
Right.
Because we're going to be sleep deprived. We're going to have shift work sleep disorder. But, your first day off, some things you can do is make sure you're focusing on getting 8 hours of sleep on your off days. I know that's hard for a lot of people, but just aim for that. Regularity is key. I mean, go to sleep at the same time and wake up at the same time every day when you can. The guy I mentioned before, Dr. Sachin Panda, what he's doing with San Diego Fire is he's teaching them about time-restricted feeding. So by restricting your feeding window to certain hours of the day and allowing the fasting period to last more than 12 hours, you impart numerous benefits, including possible prevention and reversal of chronic disease. Removing those standard American diet foods that I mentioned earlier, the grains, the sugars, and the vegetable oils, are all going to contribute to better sleeping habits. Stop eating 2 to 3 hours before bed to give your body time to rest and digest. Okay? Reducing artificial light is huge. So there's a few hacks that you can do in the firehouse. So look at getting, the old incandescent light bulbs or red lighting. Reduce artificial light after sundown on your phone. Download Night Shift on iOS and iPhones. Download Just Get Flux on your MDCs and computers. All of these transition to red lighting, less blue light after sundown, because blue light suppresses melatonin, which is your sleep hormone, right?
Right.
And then it's going to raise cortisol because your body thinks, oh, it's still daytime. I need to be alert and awake to hunt and that sort of thing, right? So reduce artificial light after sundown. And that means also get plenty of sunlight when you first wake up to align your circadian rhythm. And then a couple of supplements that I take, I do glycine and creatine. Both have been shown to help reduce some of the negative impacts of sleep deprivation. Creatine is huge. It's one of the most, research supplements out there.
Yeah.
So, those are just a few things you can do. Also, a few hours before bed, try doing some high intensity interval training. That's going to help you be insulin sensitive the next day, because sleep deprivation results in insulin resistance. So you're pretty much, pre-diabetic the next day when you get off. Your hormones are out of whack. You're not going to be shuttling glucose to the necessary places. And so all of these obviously can have detrimental effects on your health, but those things are in your control. Those are just a few hacks that I recommend.
Okay, you said high intensity training a few hours before bed.
Right. So a few hours before bed, meaning if you do it too close to bed, it's going to be a stressful event, which is going to cause a cortisol spike, right? And cortisol is going to prevent you from sleeping. So make sure you do that a few hours before bed to help limit that cortisol release.
And then eat your dinner. So I'm just trying to get this clear. You're going to train, then you're going to eat your dinner, and then 2 or 3 hours later go to bed.
Either way.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be specific. Just the thing is you don't want to work out too close to bedtime, and you also don't want to eat too close to bedtime.
Yeah. That's more important than anything, that window. You don't want to have too much food.
The eating window is huge, but the consistency, the regularity is key thing. That's a huge takeaway for people. Try to go to sleep and wake up at the same time every day, especially on your off days. Right. And then another thing, before I forget to mention, when you get off duty, your first day off should be your day off of training. Okay. You don't want to get off work, be sleep deprived, and go do a hard ass workout, because, in the short term, it's going to make you feel better. Right. But what it's really going to do is it's going to wreck your immune system and your cardiovascular system, and it's going to cause you to be catabolic. It's going to result in muscle breakdown. So that's when we can start talking about heart rate variability. Every firefighter should brush up on what Hrv training is. So it's not heart rate monitoring, but it is a monitor that links to your phone, an app on your phone, and it measures the intervals between heartbeats, right?
Right.
And by doing so, it will tell you if you're overstressed and overtrained and you need to take it easy, or it will tell you your parasympathetic nervous system is dominant, you're rested and ready to go, so go hard today. So combine that with your own primal intuition to make smarter training decisions.
A lot of people use the Fitbit for exactly what you're talking about. Is that a good product for that, or is it somewhat inferior?
I can't speak on the Fitbit, but as far as the best wearable technology that you can get, I use the Polar H10 combined with the Sweetbeat app. So the Polar H10 is the chest strap that you wear, and I link that to the Sweetbeat app on my phone. But if you got the money, go get yourself an Oura Ring. Oura Ring is, in my opinion, top of the line, because it's going to measure everything.
Okay.
It's going to measure your it's going to measure your temperature. It's going to measure your heart rate variability, and it's going to measure your sleep.
Okay, yeah, I heard of that product. Yeah, that sounds good. And that's something that a person would wear regularly, even when they're on shift, right?
Yeah, even when you're on shift. Obviously, you don't want to wear it when you're deadlifting. You don't want to damage the ring.
Yeah.
So just use common sense. I don't know if I'd wear it into a fire. I'd probably take it off before I do that.
Yeah, right. If you can remember to take it off in time.
Right. Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to get some interesting readings from that.
Yeah, I know. I wonder what the heat rating is on it. Yeah.
Probably isn't one.
It's probably pretty poor, but yeah.
But yeah, for people listening, we're talking about sleep here and how important it is. You could also go on sleepfoundation.org, and you can look up the research that they have on there. And they clearly point out that, lack of sleep and shift work are, can increase your health risks. So there's tons of good research on this. And with the culture and the fire service, we're not really jumping on this whole sleep thing too much, are we? And again, this discussion is part of making that culture change. Right nowadays, my pet peeve is not that this is a bad thing, but this whole wash your gear thing. Get your gear clean. Obviously, that's you have to do it. We have to get our gear clean because there's proof that the carcinogens are causing cancer for firefighters. But that's only one small part of the solution, and the other part would be how to handle your wacky sleep schedule from being on shift work and coming home to a newborn and maybe having a second job or just, you have your life and there's stress involved. Maybe there's somebody ill in your family and you're not getting the proper sleep. You can clean your gear all you want, but without the sleep, you're shutting down. And
yeah, I mean, without sleep, honestly, you're, I hope I'm allowed to cuss on here. You're fucked.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's the bottom line. If you're predisposed to Alzheimer's, the best thing you can do is get sleep. If you're not getting sleep, it's going to increase your risk of dementia and Alzheimer's. That's my biggest fear. But I'm glad you brought up the carcinogen thing, because two camouflage carcinogens, as I like to say, are going to be the vegetable oils, right? So the canola, the soy, the corn, all those oils, get those out. But then the lack of sleep completely suppresses immune function, right? So in 2007, the International Agency for Research on Cancer classified shift work with chronodisruption or circadian disruption as a probable human carcinogen. So the research is out there, and that needs to be brought up. Leadership. What are the chiefs doing to let their guys know that it's okay when chores are done and when training is done to try to get a little nap in, because you're going to be up all night.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, it's all about damage control. It's doing everything you can that's in your control to improve your sleeping habits.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a good detail. I think a lot of the newer guys, of course, they're a little younger, they're more resilient, but the newer guys, they don't ever want to go disappear and take a nap or something like that. But it's not being lazy. It's being a good fireman, really. It's put it that way.
Right.
I mean, you're rested.
I hate to see that. I hate to see when the new guys don't want to go out and train. They don't want to go get a workout in. They think they need to study map books for 12 hours.
Yeah.
Most of those hours they're not going to remember any of that shit anyways. That's the other thing about sleep is whatever you train on that day, especially if it's a lot of information and then you have a poor night's sleep, you're not going to remember half of that.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's when your brain processes all those memories and everything that took place that day.
Yeah, that's a funny thing. Whenever captain's test comes around, promotional exam, you'll see a guy with a book heading off somewhere, and the joke is, oh, you're going to go take a nap, because literally 5 minutes in, as they're flipping through the pages, they're out like a light. So, they're getting their sleeping, but they're not really getting much in the study department. That's for sure.
No.
Yeah.
Sleep is everything. We could do an entire podcast on just the, how important sleep is and the risk factors for sleep deprivation. But like I said, until there is a perfect shift that takes away from, people being up at night and having a mismatch in their circadian rhythm, people are going to suffer from that sleep debt.
Yeah, that'll be when robots take over our jobs, probably. That's about it.
Probably, yeah. Basically, and when people stop calling 911 after midnight,
Right.
But the other thing you can do before I forget is when you get off work, go do a float tank. There's research there as well. The Ohio State University is now using it for their athletes. Obviously, we're known for the Buckeyes here, and they're seeing tremendous results. So, you get off shift, you're sleep deprived, have a cup of coffee, obviously, because you don't want to, drowsy driving is, pretty dangerous stuff. And go do a float tank. Sit in a float tank for an hour and recover.
Yeah.
Also sauna use is great.
Mm-hmm. Massage.
Yeah. Massage. Yep.
Yeah.
Recovery.
Something just to recover. What about cryotherapy?
I think cryotherapy is great. I always recommend people for recovery and for acute stressors. I recommend people do cold showers until they're so comfortable with cold showers that they can go to ice baths.
Right.
Because you can do it at home. You can make it, a part of your daily routine. And also cryotherapy is expensive as hell.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Right. Yeah. But, I'm glad you brought that up. Start experimenting with cold showers. If you're one of those guys who has a lot of anxiety and stress on the job, try taking a cold shower before you go to work and seeing how it helps you deal with the adversity during the day.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of, you mentioned her, Dr. Rhonda Patrick. She has a whole write-up about the research behind basically ice baths, not even actual cryotherapy. I mean, just going in ice baths or cold ocean water, that type of thing. So that's very accessible. Right. I mean, a cold shower, anybody could do that anywhere they want as long as they have a shower. And the research is there on that, and it's pretty sound.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of mental override at first to turn that knob all the way to cold and sit in there for 30 seconds to 3 minutes. But once you get out, like Rhonda Patrick says, it increases your norepinephrine by 400%. So you're going to be feeling good. Right?
Yeah, right.
It's really going to help diminish your stress.
Yeah, does even anything else compare to that norepinephrine release? 400%.
I mean, there's a couple of things that I can think of that I probably shouldn't mention on here, but yeah, I mean, the research is there, like you said. Dr. Rhonda Patrick and all those other thought leaders that we mentioned, they're so thorough in their research.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Now, do you offer mostly nutritional services, but you're so well versed in the sleep department here. Is that part of your services too? Do you go out?
Right. So I like to focus on my methods are EMS. Right. So teach you how to eat, teach you how to move, and teach you how to manage sleep and stress. So I have a holistic approach, but like I said, my primary focus is on teaching firefighters and fire departments how to eat, because I think that's so crucial, and it's easy to implement when you realize it's not that hard.
Right. Okay. And your nutritional services are on your webpage. You have different levels of.
Right, so I offer 21-day challenges for fire departments, which is great because you get to compete against each other. And that's on the daily, you get tasks and some of my personal philosophy. You record how you ate, you record how you exercise, and how you slept, all right? And then I also offer 12-week programs for, this is all virtual. So any firefighter out there who needs to drop some pounds or just wants to get healthy, see better blood work, we go over everything, because I believe in healing through food.
Right.
Okay? And I have a specific knowledge because I'm a full-time fireman. I get it. I know the unique challenges that we face. So how to incorporate these ancestral health techniques into your life.
Okay, that's very nice. You know what? That 21-day challenge, my wheels are kind of turning right now. When I go to work on Wednesday, I might have to bring it up to the guys, because there's a few fellas over there that are struggling with some things, and I've been talking to them, and it's hard to get things started. And I know that a challenge, like a 21-day challenge, actually is a great way to get started. I've used those before in the past, whether it's a strength training challenge or a diet challenge, but it's a great way to kick off a healthy goal that you have set for yourself, because it holds you more accountable. But it also gives you solid direction. And then coming from a fitness professional such as yourself, you get a lot of good feedback, and you can adjust your course so you're not wasting your time. And I think, a lot of people, they try to change so much so fast, and then the internet is just crazy with information. They don't know where to take what from, nowadays eggs are bad. Last week they were good. I don't know what to eat. Right. So a simple 21-day challenge is not that big of a deal. It's 3 weeks, plan it out with a friend or two and have fun with it. And it's a no-brainer if you ask me. So I'm definitely going to talk to the guys about that. Maybe you're going to be hearing from us.
Yeah, that's great. That's my more affordable and accessible option. It's cheap, and it also, like you said, it's just a way to get your feet wet. It's a way that I can educate and empower you. And then obviously that's not enough time to create that lasting behavioral change. And that's where health coaches come in. They help hold you accountable and help you with the ins and outs and make that lasting change. And that's why fire departments need to offer health coaching as a perk in their health and wellness benefits, right? A lot of departments, including my own, just are really, they just won't create a wellness program, when all you need to do is just hire a health coach. Right. They can sit down with your guys. They can call them, on their own personal time, and they can teach them all of these things about health. I mean, it's great. But yeah, the 21-day challenge is a great way to help build that metabolic flexibility. help you become fat adapted, teach you, help you remember what it's like to feel good again. And then from there, it's kind of up to you to make it sustainable unless you want to continue working with me.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And, talking about paying for a health coach, a lot of times, especially in the fire department, guys don't want to spend any money. And the thing is, I've heard it mentioned a few times, hey, you know what? How's that Isogenics thing? Maybe I shouldn't say their name on the podcast, but a shake program for $400. You're gonna take poor quality shakes instead of a full meal. You're gonna spend that money on that. Why not hire a coach with a proven track record that actually can make a difference, and probably do it for less too, and you're going to see better results.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if I could, I would do this for free. Just because it works for me, it works for all my clients. Obviously it worked for our ancestors for millions of years, but it's just, healthy the hard way is bullshit. So any personal trainer who's beating your ass and making you go to the gym 7 days a week and you hate it, or any diet that's not sustainable, it's not going to last. No one should teach that kind of stuff.
That's it right there. Yeah. You have to believe in what you're doing, and you have to actually feel good about doing it. Yeah. If you're waking up every day miserable, it's not going to work. It'll last a couple weeks, and then it'll be right back to the old routine. That's great, Nick. Right. I know your website has a lot more information than what we talked about. So, you could definitely, everybody listening, go on Primalosophy.com and see everything that he has to offer. Also, if, I know you're on a couple podcasts, people could pick you up on That Paleo Show, episode number 254. And you're also on another podcast, the Code 3 podcast. And you're also...
Now I have the privilege of being on yours.
And we're going to add this one to it. Thank you for coming on. And then you also have 2 articles, right?
Yeah, so I was featured in Firehouse magazine, and you can find that under the Safety and Health, Incorporating Ancestral Health Techniques. And then also my First Responders Ultimate Sleep Guide was published in EMS World.
Okay. Yep. And on social media, you're at Primalosophy. I love that name, by the way.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, it's a blend of ancestral health and ancient wisdom, so I'm a big fan of philosophy.
Yeah. That would be Stoicism.
Yes, sir.
Which I'm
Stoicism. Yeah, pretty much all ancient wisdom, draw from everything. I think all health questions go back to, like I said, our ancestors, and all wisdom goes back to, Socrates and these older guys. So
absolutely.
Yeah,
and I think,
read up on Stoicism. It'll help you.
Yeah. And I think in today's culture, we tend to really forget about the past very quickly. We're always looking for what's new and what's better. And, new doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be better. And, paying attention to what our ancestors did, they put a lot of work in, just like people are working hard nowadays. Let's give them some credit. Read up on Stoicism. Read up on how our ancestors behaved and what they did and what they believed, because that's where we come from, really. That's where it all started. So you have to pay homage to them.
Absolutely.
Anything else, Nick, that you
want
to
throw?
Yeah,
you can find me on social media at Primalosophy. Check out my blog, primalosophy.com/blog. If you're going to be in Ohio, I'm going to be speaking at the upcoming Ohio Health Expo on May 20th. All things firefighter health 101. Just kind of give fire departments the basics. And if you want to work with me, just reach out to me on social media, or you can get a hold of me, send me an email. Yeah.
Okay, great. Then thanks for coming on, Nick. Appreciate it. And look forward to possibly getting on your 21-day paleo program. I'm always trying out new things, so I'm always chomping at the bit. So hopefully we'll be talking soon. Yeah, I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks for having me on, Fred. Appreciate it.
All right, you have a good one. Take care.
See you.
All right, everybody. That was Nick Holderbaum over at Primalosophy. Check him out. Check out the .com and see what he has to offer. And I just want to send a shout out to this awesome studio where we're podcasting from, a shared universe in Eatontown, New Jersey. If you want to do a podcast, do one here. Even if you got to drive a little bit, because this is state-of-the-art stuff here. They have like multiple rooms and awesome service from the engineers. They'll look out for you, make sure your podcast runs right, and take care of all that technical stuff that I know I don't want to deal with. I also want to encourage everybody, if you're looking for to support the podcast, we're having affiliation with Fireline, which is a supplement company and clothing company. You could click on buildburnbecome.com and then shop, and then you'll see Fireline. You go to Fireline and you use the discount code BuildBurnBecome, all one word, and you get 25% off any purchase that you make, and you'll be supporting the podcast. And also, I want to send a shout out to my boys over at Critical Mass Gym in Tinton Falls, where every day I'm getting a little bit stronger and a little bit meaner. So thanks everybody for listening. I will see you next time on the next show. Take care.